Improve 1% every day. When people think about success, they often imagine dramatic moments. They picture a successful entrepreneur making millions, an athlete winning a championship, a speaker standing confidently in front of thousands, or a person completely transforming their life. What they rarely see is the journey that led to those moments. They don't see the countless mornings of discipline, the repeated failures, the small improvements, and the ordinary days that slowly built an extraordinary life. We live in a world that celebrates big achievements but ignores the small actions that create them. As a result, many people become obsessed with finding shortcuts. They want instant results, instant confidence, instant wealth, and instant success. But life doesn't work that way. Nature doesn't work that way. Growth doesn't work that way. The most powerful changes in life usually happen so slowly that you can't notice them day by day. A tree doesn't become massive overnight. A child doesn't grow into an adult in a week. A river doesn't carve through a mountain in a day. Great things take time. They are built through consistent effort and patience. That is why the philosophy of improving just 1% every day is so powerful. It shifts your focus away from overnight success and toward continuous growth. It teaches you that you don't need to become extraordinary today, you only need to become slightly better than you were yesterday. Why people underestimate small improvements? Human beings naturally love dramatic results. We are impressed by huge transformations because they are easy to see. We notice the person who lost a lot of weight, the student who became fluent in English, or the entrepreneur who built a successful business. What we don't notice are the hundreds of small actions that happen behind the scenes. Because small improvements seem insignificant, most people ignore them. Reading 10 pages doesn't feel like a major achievement. Learning 5 new English words seems too little. Exercising for 15 minutes appears almost meaningless. Saving a small amount of money looks unimportant. The problem is that people judge actions based on immediate results rather than long term impact. Imagine placing a single drop of water on a rock. Nothing happens. Place another drop, still nothing. Continue dropping water for years, and eventually the rock begins to change. The power wasn't in a single drop, the power was in the repetition. Your habits work exactly the same way. One workout won't make you fit. One book won't make you wise. One conversation won't make you confident. One day of practice won't make you an expert. But thousands of these actions combined can completely transform your life. The compound effect. How tiny actions create massive results. The real magic of improving by 1% every day lies in something called compounding. Compounding means that small improvements build upon previous improvements. Each day becomes a foundation for the next day. Think about learning English. On your first day, you learn a few words. The next day, you learn a few more. After a week, you know dozens of words. After a month, you understand simple conversations. After a year, your ability is dramatically different from where you started. No single day created that transformation. The transformation happened because small efforts accumulated over time. The same principle applies to every area of life. A person who reads 10 pages daily may finish dozens of books every year. A person who saves a little money regularly may build significant wealth over time. A person who exercises consistently may become healthier than someone who occasionally works out intensely. The results seem extraordinary from the outside, but they are actually the product of many ordinary actions repeated consistently. This is why small habits should never be underestimated. They may not change your life today, but they are quietly shaping your future. The dangerous illusion of overnight success. One of the biggest myths in modern society is the idea of overnight success. We often hear stories about people who suddenly became successful. What we rarely hear about are the years of effort that happened before anyone noticed them. The successful authors spent years writing before publishing a bestseller. The athlete trained thousands of hours before winning a medal. The entrepreneur experienced countless failures before building a successful company. The speaker spent years practicing communication before confidently addressing large audiences. To the world, success appears sudden. To the person who achieved it, success was a slow process of daily improvement. The problem is that many people compare their beginning to someone else's ending. They see the final result and become discouraged because they don't see similar progress in their own lives. What they fail to realize is that success is often invisible until it reaches a certain point. Growth happens quietly, progress accumulates silently, improvement compounds in the background, then one day people call it overnight success. The hardest part, trusting the process. The greatest challenge of improving by 1% every day is not the work itself. The hardest part is trusting the process when results are invisible. Most people are willing to work hard when they can immediately see progress. The real test comes when progress cannot be seen. Imagine pushing a giant boulder. The first push does not move it, neither does the second nor the 100th. You continue pushing day after day. Finally, one day the boulder moves. People might think the final push caused the movement, but in reality, every push mattered. The same thing happens in personal growth. Every book you read matters, every workout matters, every English lesson matters, every act of discipline matters. Even when results are invisible, you are building momentum. Many people quit because they don't see immediate rewards. They stop just before their efforts begin producing visible results. Those who succeed are often not more talented, they simply stay committed long enough for the results to appear. The battle between comfort and growth. Every day presents a choice, comfort or growth. Comfort tells you to stay in bed a little longer. Growth tells you to wake up and work toward your goals. Comfort tells you to postpone learning. Growth tells you to practice even when you don't feel like it. Comfort focuses on immediate pleasure. Growth focuses on long term rewards. The challenge is that comfort feels good right now while growth pays off later. Most people choose comfort because the rewards are immediate. Successful people understand something different. They realize that today's discomfort often becomes tomorrow's strength. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you become slightly stronger. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you build confidence. Every time you take action despite fear, you expand your potential. These decisions may seem small, but over time they completely change who you become. The transformation of identity. The most important thing about improving by 1% every day is that it changes your identity. At first, you are simply performing small actions. You read a few pages, you learn a few words, you exercise for a few minutes. But something deeper begins happening. You start seeing yourself differently. You become someone who reads, someone who learns, someone who keeps promises, someone who follows through. This shift in identity is powerful because lasting change always begins from within. People often focus on what they want to achieve. A better question is, what do I want to become? Do you want to become a disciplined person, a confident person, a knowledgeable person, a successful person? If so, start acting like that person in small ways every day. Your habits create your identity, and your identity shapes your future. Imagine two versions of yourself 1 year from today. The first version continues living exactly the same way, the same habits, the same excuses, the same routines, the same fears. The second version improves by just 1% every day. Reads a little, learns a little, exercises a little, grows a little. Neither version changes dramatically in a single day. But after a year, the difference is enormous. One version has become stronger, wiser, more skilled, more confident, and more capable. The other remains exactly where they started. The difference wasn't talent, the difference wasn't luck, the difference was daily improvement. The truth is simple but powerful. Your life is not shaped by what you do once in a while, it is shaped by what you do consistently. The future you dream about will not be built through one massive effort, it will be built through thousands of small decisions made every day. Every page you read matters, every lesson you learn matters, every healthy choice matters, every act of discipline matters, every 1% improvement matters. Never underestimate the power of becoming slightly better each day, because one day you will look back and realize that those tiny moments didn't just change your habits, they changed your entire life. The 1% rule, the story of the little ant who changed his life. Deep inside a vast forest lived a small ant named Orin. He was tiny, weak, and often ignored by the other animals. Every day he watched the forest's successful animals with admiration. The eagles soared high above the clouds, the horses ran swiftly across the plains, the elephants carried enormous loads with ease, and the beavers built magnificent dams. Whenever Aaron looked at them, he felt discouraged. I wish I was stronger, he would sigh. I wish I were faster. I wish I were special. The more he compared himself to others, the smaller he felt. He wanted to become successful and respected, but he couldn't imagine how a tiny ant could ever achieve something great. One evening, while wandering alone, Arin met an old tortoise named Taran, known throughout the forest for his wisdom. Seeing the sadness in Arin's eyes, Taran asked, "Why do you look so troubled, little one?" Arin lowered his head. "I want to become stronger and better, but I am just an ant. No matter how hard I try, I will never be like the eagle, the horse, or the elephant." The old tortoise smiled. "You don't need to become them." "What do you mean?" asked Arin. "You only need to become a little better than you were yesterday." Arin was confused. "A little better? How can that change anything?" Taran picked up a tiny seed. "Do you see this seed?" "Yes." "Can it become a giant tree tomorrow?" "Of course not." "Why not?" "Because it takes time." The tortoise nodded. "Exactly. Great things grow slowly. Every tree, every river, every mountain has a story of patience. The problem is that most creatures want results before growth." Then Taran leaned closer and said something Arin would never forget. "Improve by just 1% every day and let time do the rest." Arin didn't completely understand, but he decided to try. The next morning, Arin woke up early. Instead of carrying one grain of food, he carried one grain and a tiny leaf. It wasn't much, nobody noticed, nobody prized him, nobody was impressed. But Arin remembered the tortoise's advice. The next day, he carried a little more. The day after that, he traveled a little further. Every day, he improved just a little. The changes were so small that even Arin could barely notice them. Sometimes he wondered if the effort was pointless, but he kept going. Weeks passed. One afternoon, a rabbit saw Arin struggling with a small twig. The rabbit laughed. "Look at him. He thinks carrying a slightly bigger twig will change his life." Soon other animals joined in. A fox smirked. "A tiny ant trying to become great? That's funny." Even some ants mocked him. "Why work so hard?" they asked. "Nothing is changing." Their words hurt, very hurt. For a moment, Aaron considered quitting. Maybe they were right. Maybe his efforts were meaningless. That evening, he visited Taran again. "The others are laughing at me," Aaron said sadly. "They say I am wasting my time." The tortoise looked at the stars above. "Tell me, Aaron, can you see the stars moving?" "No." "But are they moving?" "Yes." "Can you see a tree growing?" No, but is it growing? Yes. Taran smiled. Some of the most important changes happened too slowly to be noticed. Months later, a terrible drought struck the forest. Water became scarce, food became difficult to find. Many animals began struggling. The rabbit who had laughed at Arin became weak because he had never prepared for hard times. The fox found less food every day. Even many ant colonies suffered. But something surprising happened. Because Arin had been improving little by little for months. He was stronger than ever before. He could travel further, he could carry heavier loads, he could work longer without becoming exhausted. His colony had more stored food because of his efforts. For the first time, the other animals noticed something different about him. The tiny ant who once seemed weak had become remarkably capable, not overnight, not through luck, but through daily improvement. One day, a powerful storm swept through the forest. The winds were so strong that they destroyed nests, knocked down branches, and scattered food supplies. After the storm, many animals needed help. A large food reserve was trapped beneath a fallen branch. The animals tried moving it. The rabbits couldn't, the foxes couldn't, even some larger animals struggled. As everyone searched for a solution, Arin stepped forward. Years earlier, nobody would have taken him seriously, but this was no longer the same ant. Through countless small improvements, he had become stronger, smarter, and more resourceful. He organized hundreds of ants into teams. Together, they slowly moved the food to safety. The forest was amazed. The little ant who was once ignored had become a leader. Later that evening, the animals gathered around Arin. The rabbit asked, "How did you become so strong?" The fox asked, "What secret did you discover?" The younger ants asked, "How can we become like you?" Arin smiled. He remembered the day he had met the old tortoise. There was no secret, he said. I didn't become stronger in a day. I didn't become better in a week. Every day I simply tried to improve a little. The forest became silent. Arin continued. At first, nobody noticed my progress. Then I barely noticed it myself. But every small improvement built on the one before it. One grain became two, one step became many, one effort became a habit, and eventually those tiny improvements changed everything. The next morning, the animals looked at the forest differently. They realized that greatness doesn't come from one extraordinary moment, it comes from ordinary moments repeated consistently. The eagle became great by practicing flight every day. The beaver built dams one branch at a time. The tortoise crossed long distances one step at a time. And the little ant transformed his life by improving just 1% every day. Because success isn't about being the best today, it is about becoming a little better than yesterday. And over time, those tiny improvements can create a life that once seemed impossible. So, here is a question for you. Are you waiting for a big opportunity to change your life, or are you willing to start with a small improvement today? Before you go, I have a small request. If this video taught you something new or inspired you in any way, please subscribe to the channel. Every subscription helps this community grow and allows me to create more content that can help people learn, improve, and achieve their goals. Join us on this journey of continuous growth. Subscribe now and let's keep learning together.